This is going to be so fun. Are you so excited?
I am nervous as all get out.
You're nervous? Why are you nervous? It's just me. Is that what you're
And
nervous?
whoever's on the internet.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Okay.
And
sorry,
God help me if I have a hot take, and then it's like someone actually recognizes me out there in the middle of
this goes
internet
viral.
land. I don't think so, but it's like,
You don't think it's gonna go viral?
no, I don't think anyone's gonna recognize me. But on that one off chance that like somebody who knows somebody that you recommend it to, and then they're like, "Hey, Mr. Rice is on the internet. He said what?"
I know. We don't want you to get fired, but
Life is fraught.
This
as
is
it is. But
right. This is like a very positive, happy
Yeah.
podcast.
no, I know. I figured.
Okay, we're gonna get started. Oh God. Okay. Jim Carrey right now. Okay. Hello. I'm really glad you're here. I'm Amy, and this is Amy's Wild Cards. This is the podcast where I interview people who I think are my friends with a deck of cards filled with random questions that I have created. We're gonna laugh, maybe cry, possibly be offended. Let's get into it. Today, my friend James is here.
You think I'm your friend?
Listen, I don't want to assume everyone thinks they're my friend. I think we know that we're friends, but not everyone on here I know as well as I know you.
You've actually met my family. That's not a lot of people, so.
Oh yeah, we had a nice Christmas.
Yeah.
That was actually one of the best Christmases I've had in a really long time.
Same.
Oh, I'm so glad. And we had really good combo after too.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. So I think I told you, but I shuffled the deck for each person. And I already shuffled a whole bunch before you got here.
Yeah.
I'm shuffling right now, as we can all see and hear.
I'm not peeking.
Thank you. I'm going to let you choose.
Okay.
You can either tell me when to stop shuffling, or I choose when the vibe feels right.
It's your show.
Okay.
3, 2, 1, go.
Yeah, that's what I was feeling too.
All right.
Okay, we flip over. Oh, this is interesting that this card came up. Okay, so one, I do a lot of prayer before I record. I pray, I meditate, I put a little incense around the mics, I walk around the room. I try to be really intentional. This card, when I was shuffling over there, I dropped a card face down, and I was like, that's interesting. I wonder if I'm supposed to remove that card. I wonder why that card fell out. And that card is the very first card that just came up for you.
Hit me.
What is something that always brings you joy?
Being around my kids.
Yeah.
I mean,
They're such good girls. I was just telling them that.
Hands down, it's gotten... I love my kids.
And they're just more and more like you. So I feel like you actually saying you love your kids is really self-affirming too, which is kind of cool for you and your self-esteem.
Yeah.
So maybe you love yourself more too.
I think I've been doing a lot of work the last few years on that. Yeah. And a lot of that spending time in prayer and having God affirm me.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. I love it. Have you ever seen a ghost?
I don't know.
Do you even believe in ghosts? I know, because Christians don't always believe in ghosts. We believe maybe more in spirits.
Ghosts in the traditional, that is a dead person with no body, or that is the impression left behind of somebody. From reading the Bible, literally cover to cover, it's possible that I could have missed it or misinterpreted some things that were not rendered out of the Hebrew, out of the Bible, and I didn't know what they were talking about. But I mean, demonic entities, I think I've interacted with a few. I'm not one of those Christians who sees spirits.
Yeah.
I have met a few who are like, there's one over there. Can we pray? And I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And then they're like, thank you. I was like, you seem to be in your right mind, and either you're just stone-faced best liar I know. I mean,
Or,
or
yeah.
okay, sure. Um, as a very, very young child, I still have this had this one experience that could be one of those. That was a nightmare, dude. Just get over it.
Mm.
But have you ever, okay, the sleep paralysis demon?
Yes, yes,
This was
yes.
not a sleep paralysis demon, actually, but it was in that same kind of liminal state where,
Yes. I love the word liminal. I've been using it a lot lately, so I love that you just use that word.
first of all, I remember starting to hear people use that on podcasts like 5 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I love
and
it. Is it a podcast thing?
I don't know. But I remember the first time that some graduate student in college, I was, okay, I was a chemistry major and I
Right.
took one history class because I had to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the only one that fit my schedule that wasn't
Mm-hmm.
already completely full. It was the American cultures requirement.
Uh-huh.
So, and I was like going through the course catalog and I was like,
That's how you should choose all your classes, by the way, if you're in college.
I mean, it was outside my major. It was outside my major, so I was just like,
let's see.
I really don't care.
Yeah.
Alternative sexual identities in the United States of the 20th century.
Oh, I love that. That's what you landed on?
It was Gay Studies 101.
No, well, obviously, but that's awesome.
I did not know that at the time.
I love that.
And I was not any kind of like Christian at the time either, so this was no biggie. I was just kind of like, okay.
And I just want to make a note that it's okay to be queer and Christian, because I know you just said like Christian and queerness, like you just said like I wasn't a Christian at the time.
I had no.
So what do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
I mean that I had no particular prejudices against people's sexuality,
And then
because of a religious background,
right. And then
because
now
I was
as a
raised extremely
Christian,
secular.
Do you feel differently?
Well, because I encountered so much homophobic bullying.
Really? Oh, because you were like an intellectual, and that used to be like a gay quality. It was like intellectual men. They would call them gay.
Short,
that used to be a thing.
Round, this voice that you hear right now didn't exist before I was about 30.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, I've heard your little high pitched voice from back in the day.
Yeah,
it's precious.
And like, I might be hirsute now, but I was not then. I mean, I graduated at 17. I graduated a month after turning 17 and still could barely muster like a mustache. So I was mocked mercilessly for years. And it wasn't, I would say that in my mind at the time I was convinced of myself. I'm like, I'm 95% straight. Is there it was like
I don't think anybody's 100% straight.
Whatever.
Yeah, I really don't.
But like I was best friends with the other guy in our grade who got mocked mercilessly for being gay, who came out later. I was like, oh, yeah, that does make sense. Okay. Like I used to pride myself on my gaydar, and it was just like, no.
Gaydar's bullshit.
Yeah.
It's just bullshit.
I mean,
the whole concept is bullshit.
But I didn't have any particular animus against anyone for being gay. If anything, I wanted to take the class because I was just like, I've had people put me down for this kind of stuff for so many years. I might as well actually like have someone's take on what this experience is outside of the marginalized aspect, because I never participated in any kind of queer community. I didn't identify that way. I mean, so
So I want to circle back to two things you said.
But I know I've gotten off topic of the ghosts thing. So
Yeah.
I will get back to that.
So one of them is the ghost thing.
Yeah.
You're definitely going to be one of those people where maybe we get through 5 cards.
Okay.
I forgot what a talker you are, but it's great because your voice is great and you're a great pal, and so it is what it is. We're just going to have fun. Okay, so 2 things. One, to answer my question directly.
Yes.
Does your view change
sorry.
now as a Christian towards gayness?
Honestly, I am still studying it, but the one thing that the reason I was telling this story, now I remember. Thank you for getting me back on track. That class showed me just how bitterly the majority of the church, and particularly the American, not even just Western, but the American church, post-fundamentalist movement of the early 20th century just railed on anything that sort of was identified as queer or outside mainstream. I had already had some real prejudice against Christians, and to this day, I can see that what I was upset with is the same thing I'm still upset with, existing within nominally Christian communities, and I say nominally as in name.
Yes.
Christian
In case
communities.
anyone doesn't know what nominal means.
Hi, I got a real good score on the SAT, and I used to get made fun of for that.
And we have a pretty intelligent audience so
I'm sure we
far.
do.
Yeah.
I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence, but
Right.
I work with 8th graders most of the time, so
Right.
when I get to just talk normally, it's like I let loose. The very first time, I think, that I actually set foot in a church as an adult who was not attending, Christmas midnight mass with my family or something, but like I was actually investigating it for myself. We didn't have the pastor that everyone had hyped me up on. Like, he's so good. He's on vacation. Okay.
I know when that happens, you invite a friend to church, and then you're like, "Oh, this isn't our usual person."
And I was like, yeah, I can tell he seems nervous.
Yeah.
But he was talking about being on a flight to or from the Bay Area and striking up a conversation with the passenger next to him. And the passenger next to him turned out to be a lawyer for a civil rights group that advocates for LGBTQ plus adoptive parents. And then that passenger turned to the pastor and said, "So what do you do?" And the pastor's like, he didn't want to say because he knew
the connotation.
Yeah. And he said his response in that moment was the way he reads the Bible. And his response to us as the congregation was the way he reads the Bible. It's not something that is approved of, but no more or no worse and no better than any other form of sexual sin marked out in the Bible. And at the time, it was my first time there. I was not convinced that I needed to be following Jesus or anything, but I was listening to that. I was like, so you're not condemning anyone for anything. You just believe there are things that are right and wrong, but that doesn't make anyone evil for being wrong. Interesting take. Okay. But his whole thing was like, first and foremost, seeing people as human.
Yeah, that's really important.
There's this wonderful word I learned only maybe a few months ago that encapsulates this notion that seems to be, I feel like, disappearing from our culture. Sonder.
Oh, I haven't heard that in so long.
But you know that word?
Yes.
The ability and the core belief you have to have empathy with other people is believing that they have an actual entire inner life of their own, and that when you part ways with them, they're not NPCs.
Right.
I hate that phrase with a burning passion. Nobody's an NPC. If you're a human being, okay, I'm kidding. The first time,
I don't even need to be here. Like, I could just give you a mic and this equipment.
The first
this is
time
why you need your own podcast. You have so much to say.
The first time I heard someone, I was talking with someone a couple of years ago, and I moved into this apartment building that is quasi dorms for a university. And I ran into my neighbor in the hall, and we were just chatting. And he talked about his day job selling shoes at Foot Locker, and how he's like, yeah, and I deal with NPCs all day. I was like, what? And because I keep getting older, and like Matthew McConaughey's line, I keep getting older, but they just stay the same. But not that way, because that's creepy.
I'm gonna let you wrap this up, and then we're gonna do another question.
But I love human beings because Jesus died for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Whether they choose to respond to him is up to them. Whether they agree with the assessment that the Bible says that homosexual relationships are okay or are not okay is not up to me to decide.
Mm-hmm.
And I've read people's like expert interpretation of particular passages of the Bible
Mm-hmm.
that are on both sides of that argument, that theologically both hold water to me. So I'm not committed to one or the other, but I am committed to loving everyone because I've sinned horribly multiple times. I'm an adult. And Jesus died for me. I can't hold anything against anyone.
Yeah.
And I can't gatekeep.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Have you heard of the film 1946?
No.
So it's a really great film on the topic of homosexuality and Christianity. It's more of an affirming film. So like leaning on the side of being queer and Christian is okay. And it's not a sin. So it's very good. So I recommend it. Next question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite mental illness?
Ooh, ADHD.
Oh, yeah. Good answer.
I mean, okay, let me just say this. It's my favorite to think about because I got diagnosed at 40.
You got diagnosed at 40? I didn't realize it was so late for you.
Oh, gosh,
what a
yes.
shame. Like,
do
you ever think about, like, if I actually got diagnosed as a child?
I was having this conversation with my mother a few days ago and realizing, like, one, I'm probably somewhere on the autism spectrum, too. Very much on the high functioning. They used to call it Asperger's, and I found out they got rid of his name because he was like a Nazi collaborator.
Oh,
So
is
like,
that why they stopped calling it that?
I think that's it.
Okay.
And, and frankly,
Will that do it? Okay.
Like, I don't know if there's actual evidence that, once he was done with his test subjects, he turned them over. Yeah, I don't know if I kind of did some fact checking on that and I don't know if it's like definitive.
Yeah.
But a lot of historical records from that particular time period are hard to come by for unknown reasons. I mean, carpet bombing. Anyway, but the idea that autism's on a spectrum and that there's people who are way less able to communicate and people who are very high functioning, but they still don't, their mirror neurons don't seem to run the way other people's do. And their tether to reality is just a little different from other people's. And it's like, that's just your weird Uncle Steve. It's like, he's 50. He's not married. And we know he's not gay because he doesn't have anyone over ever. Like, those are the sorts of things that people, maybe ADHD. I know I have a couple of ADHD podcasts in my feed that I will occasionally hit up, but I got my diagnosis because I was starting to wonder, like, part of it was that as a teacher, all the ADHD and AUT SPED students would always come and hang out in my classroom at lunchtime.
They felt safe with you. They felt seen by you.
I
love it though. So good, James.
I mean, growing up, instead of siblings, I had cats. And it's kind of the same feeling. It's like that stray cat's like, oh, I've got Kibble and there's stray cats. Yeah, okay.
Oh my god.
Yep. That same kind of
that might be one of my favorite things you've ever said.
That same feeling. I'm just like, these are the ones that are social. They want to interact with you until they don't. And those are the ones in the corner that will hide under the bed. In a sense, they're my people.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, God, I was a chemistry major at Berkeley. I've had students over the years ask me, Mister, do you ever watch Big Bang Theory? I'm like, I lived it. It ain't funny up close.
Yeah.
It ain't funny up close. It's just like everyone and their like tics
Mm-hmm.
and their idiosyncrasies, but not always getting along, and there's no laugh track.
Right.
Like afterwards, you're like, yeah, that would have been funny if I hadn't had to live through it.
Right. If it wasn't painful and awkward.
but-
I'm going to ask you another question, but finish
yeah,
your thought.
I'd say it, depending on how well you're able to handle your life, it can be a lot of fun. Like, I can tell stories all day long.
Yeah, it's like the asset of the thing.
mhm.
I know. I've been starting to get into that too.
But the downside is but I have this. Yeah, so doing my taxes.
Ooh, yeah.
I know how to do calculus. It's not the math.
Right.
It's I think I know how to do this, but if I do it wrong, I'm going to go to jail.
Right.
But what if I don't do it? If I don't do it, I might go to jail. Maybe, but
Everything lands
if I
you in jail. Oh, James.
well, we live in LA, so if you
Listen.
mismanage your finances, I've seen too many RVs by the side of the road thinking you got more square footage than I do.
Right. Right.
And
No,
you
this
don't
is
pay any
true.
rent. Like,
Yeah.
is that really the worst thing that could happen to me?
No. It's
But
not.
then I'd lose visitation with my kids, and that snaps me back to reality. That's like
It's
every single
just
time.
get it done. Done is better than perfect.
Yeah.
I just want to know what kind of tree you are.
I would have to know a lot more about trees.
So, from the trees that you know, what kind of tree are you?
The kind that loses all its trees off the top permanently.
All of its branches? Oh my god. Stop. Okay, next question. How many times have you almost died?
Ooh. I'm not sure. Okay, well, there was the time I broke my leg in half.
Okay, but did you almost die or you just broke your leg?
I lost a lot of blood.
Oh, you lost a lot of blood. Okay, we only have a few minutes for this one,
All right,
but
so
I want to know.
I was being chased by someone with a water balloon. I was on I was at a school retreat, and
How old were you?
I was 13.
Okay.
Because private schools have retreats.
Not
Anyway.
summer camps. The retreats.
It was like a summer camp, but we rented it for the weekend, and I was being chased out of my cabin 2 steps, 3 at most. I just didn't want to take the extra second to go down the steps, so I just jumped off.
Yeah.
But rather than landing heel first, I landed ball of the foot,
Ooh.
and then
Oh.
yeah, if you've ever seen someone who's got a good grip, take
Yeah.
a pencil and twist it until it has a spiral fracture,
Oh.
and then you put full body weight on.
That was a really good.
Yeah, that was
description.
it was graphic. I know. I'm sorry.
No, that's
For everyone out there, sorry. Trigger warning.
So then you were bleeding a lot.
Yeah, and it was a half hour up this mountain because it was like a it was
right.
a camp. It was fortunate that it was in the mountains where they have all these ski resorts because they had people who were trained in it year round. Because if they had gotten there 15 minutes later, 20 minutes later, I could have bled out.
Okay, so I'll take that as a near-death experience. In our last few minutes, because can you believe we're already at the end?
Yes, I can.
Final question for all of my guests.
Yes.
In our last 3 minutes, if this is the only surviving audio clip of you left in existence,
Yes.
what do you want people to know?
Jesus Christ is painfully real. I mean, you don't have dreams of the future if you aren't given them by an omniscient being that exists outside of time and space. And that being also drew me to himself. And Hazel Danielle, if you're listening to this, I love you so much. And anyone else in my family, if you're still surviving, I love you. I think that's it.
Oh, great. We have a couple more minutes.
Ooh.
Anything else you want to say, James?
The house I grew up in, I'm pretty sure was cursed hence
Your
the
mom
ghost.
still is it? No,
No,
different
no, no, no,
house.
different house.
Okay.
Yeah, before my mom moved in there, she said she had to like rehab the whole place because like large parts of it were painted black and had been used for making porn before she got in there.
Very LA.
The 70s. But yeah, being
I
convinced.
like that we went from like Jesus Christ to porn, and that's the beauty of this podcast.
Hey, everyone. They exist in the same universe.
This is true.
But yeah, I thought it was a motorcycle coming up the hallway to my parents' bedroom because I was tucked in between them, little kid. And then starting to realize that there was like a creeping shadow coming out of the hallway, and it sounded less like an engine rumbling and more like some animal snarling and being unable to wake my parents.
Yeah.
Like, maybe that's just the worst childhood nightmare ever, or it was a ghost, or yes and, because I think when we're in that liminal state,
Yep, there it is.
That the sleep paralysis demon, everyone talks about it like, my sleep paralysis demon. But when I lived in Morocco and I talked with people about that, they had a name for that entity.
What do they call it?
I can't remember it now because it was a conversation I half understood.
Right.
And my Arabic was never great, but
yeah. Do you still know Arabic?
Yeah, she's sweet.
Wow. Look, this is what I love. I learn new things about my friends. Okay. Well, you circled back to the ghost thing, so that's great. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for being here. This was a very interesting conversation.
I'm so happy to oblige.
Yeah. Thanks for coming by, friend.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we're done. That's it.
Bye.
Bye.